David had always been the quiet strength of his family, the bedrock, the unwavering pillar. He was the first to rise with the faint gray light of dawn, the scent of fresh coffee already brewing as the house still slept. He was the man whose shoulders everyone leaned on, whose steady presence was as reliable as the sunrise itself, a fact so ingrained it went unacknowledged. He loved that role, the silent weight of responsibility, the quiet dignity it afforded him. It made him feel useful, essential, a vital cog in the beautiful, complex machinery of their lives. But life, David knew, didn't always send a warning before it shifted beneath your feet. That Friday afternoon, the air in the boardroom was too still, too sterile, smelling faintly of old coffee and recycled ambition. David walked in, expecting the usual drone of a quarterly review, the familiar click of a projector. Instead, a crisp white envelope lay waiting for him on the polished mahogany table, stark against the dark wood. The HR manager, a woman whose name David couldn't quite recall, kept her gaze fixed on a point just past his left ear, her face a mask of practiced neutrality. The words, when they finally came, were short, cold, and heavy as lead. Due to restructuring, your position has been terminated. 10 years of his life? A decade of early mornings and late nights? Of loyalty and dedication ended in less time than it took to tie his shoelaces. The sound of his own breathing suddenly seemed impossibly loud in the oppressive silence. David left the building in a daze, each step feeling disconnected from the pavement below. The afternoon sun, usually a welcome warmth, now felt harsh and alien on his skin. He moved like someone walking out of a bad dream. The world around him a blur of indifferent motion. He sat in his car, the engine off, the air thick with the metallic tang of despair. He stared at nothing, the hum of distant traffic a cruel reminder of a world that continued its purpose-driven rhythm. People streamed past his window, briefcases swinging, lunch bags rustling, their faces alight with the small certainties of their day. They had places to be, tasks to complete, futures unfolding. His future, however, had just dissolved into a terrifying void. On the long, winding drive home, the city lights blurred into streaks of sorrow. He tried to construct the words, to imagine the scene, to prepare for how he would break the news to Miriam. But every time he pictured the slow dawning of worry on her face, the inevitable disappointment, the fear that would cloud her bright eyes, his chest tightened into an agonizing knot. A hot, bitter taste filled his mouth. By the time he pulled into their driveway, the familiar scent of jasmine from Miriam's garden doing little to soothe him, he had silently made a decision. A desperate, foolish decision, perhaps, but one born of a profound, misguided love. He wouldn't tell her. Not today. He couldn't. That evening, the house bloomed with a cruel, vibrant cheerfulness. The scent of Miriam's cooking, a rich tomato-based stew, mingled with the sweet, innocent clamor of their children. Miriam herself was a whirlwind of joyous chatter, recounting the kids' hilarious antics at school, planning next month's family outing to the coast. The children, oblivious, ran to him, their small hands clutching crumpled drawings, their laughter ringing like tiny bells. David forced a smile, stretching his lips into a mask that felt brittle and fake. He swallowed the truth, a bitter pill that lodged in his throat, because he simply couldn't bear to shatter their fragile, beautiful joy. The lie felt like a heavy cloak, suffocating him, yet he clung to it, believing it protected them. The next morning, the ritual felt like a cruel parody of his former life. He woke early, the familiar chill of the pre-dawn air raising goosebumps on his arms. He stood before the bathroom mirror, the cold water splashing on his face, the rasp of the razor against his jaw of familiar comfort, now utterly hollow. He dressed in his crispest office shirt, the starched collar, a tight noose around his neck, picked up his briefcase, empty, meaningless, and left the house, the scent of Miriam's sleep still clinging to her pillow. But instead of turning toward the highway, towards the familiar, purposeful hum of the city center, he drove to the quiet, unassuming street behind a rundown cyber cafe. He parked, the engine ticking as it cooled, and sat for a long moment, breathing deeply, trying to quiet the frantic drumbeat in his chest, before walking inside. For 50 shillings an hour, amidst the stale air and the low drone of ancient computers, he updated his CV, sent out a flurry of desperate job applications, and meticulously pretended he still had somewhere to be. Someone to be. A stranger, hunched over the next monitor, leaned over with a casual grin. "Bro, which company do you work with?" His throat constricted. The question, so simple, so innocent, felt like a punch to the gut. He swallowed hard, the light catching in his throat, and whispered, "I'm self-employed." The words felt foreign, shameful, a betrayal of the man he used to be. It hurt more to say it out loud than he could have imagined. Every day became a meticulously crafted performance. His mornings were a blur of online applications, the hopeful emails quickly swallowed by the silent void of the internet. He walked into gleaming office lobbies, the polished floors reflecting his desperate, tired face, dropping off CVs with receptionists who barely met his eye. He practiced interview answers in the car mirror, his voice a flat, unfamiliar monotone, watching his reflection mouth empty reassurances. He observed the world moving with unwavering purpose, a relentless tide of commuters and commerce, while he felt like a ghost, waiting for his own life to restart, adrift in an ocean of uncertainty. By evening, he'd pick up a loaf of bread or a carton of milk from the supermarket, a prop to make it seem as though he'd merely passed by on his way home from work. Miriam would greet him at the door, her smile warm, her eyes full of a trust he no longer felt worthy of. Each night, as he held her, the lie grew heavier, a suffocating blanket between them. Weeks bled into months. The world, indifferent to David's secret, did not slow down. Bills, a relentless tide, did not pause. First, it was a small school project fee. Then the gas cylinder hissed its last breath, leaving Miriam frowning. Then a doctor's prescription for a child's persistent cough. Then the children needed new shoes, their old ones scuffed and worn. Small things, innocent demands, but each one felt heavier than the last, pressing down on David's already strained shoulders, each one a sharp reminder of his dwindling resources. David watched his savings, once a comforting buffer, shrink day by day, a slow, agonizing bleed, until they vanished completely. The silence of the empty bank account screamed louder than any alarm. And that's when you did what he had promised himself he wouldn't do, what he had sworn was beneath him. He took a small mobile loan. The transaction quick, impersonal, shamefully easy. Just to survive for now, he told himself, the words a desperate whisper in the dark, a flimsy bandage over a gaping wound. But one loan turned into two, a trickle becoming a stream. Two turned into four, the stream a raging torrent. Each repayment came with interest that grew like a malevolent shadow, long, inescapable, clinging to his heels. Still, he kept up the charade, the performance growing increasingly elaborate, his smile more strained, his eyes holding a growing, desperate flicker. But Miriam, with the quiet intuition of a woman deeply in love, noticed the cracks. David was quieter, his usual steady presence now tinged with brittle tension. He avoided her gaze when she talked about money, his eyes darting away like a cornered animal. He woke up tired, even on Monday mornings, his shoulders hunched, his movement sluggish. He didn't talk about his colleagues anymore, didn't share the small, mundane details of his day. His laughter, once a warm, rumbling sound, had become a rare, forced cough. One evening, as she stirred a pot of rice in the kitchen, the soft hiss of the gas burner, the only sound, she watched him from the doorway. He sat on the sofa, bathed in the harsh blue glow of his phone screen, his face a roadmap of stress he thought he was hiding so well. A cold dread seeped into her, something twisting in her gut. She felt something break in her heart, a tiny fracture, but she didn't confront him. She hoped with a fierce, almost painful optimism that it was just work pressure, a temporary storm. Then came the morning. Everything collapsed. Miriam was humming a soft tune, the aroma of frying eggs filling the kitchen, when David's phone, lying on the counter, suddenly erupted with a jarring, insistent ring. A harsh, disembodied voice
blasted through the speaker. "Sir, your loan repayment is now overdue. Kindly settle the balance immediately." Miriam froze. David's eyes widened. The silence that followed felt like a dark cloud filling the room. She looked at him slowly. "David, which repayment?" He opened his mouth, but no words came out. His breath grew shallow. His shoulders trembled. For the first time, Miriam saw fear on her husband's face. Real fear. And he broke. The truth poured out of him all at once. The job loss, the fake workdays, the interviews that went nowhere, the shame he carried, the loans he took trying to maintain normal life, and the fear of disappointing her. Tears filled his eyes before he could stop them. "I didn't want you to think I failed you," he whispered. Miriam sat beside him and held his shaking hands. Her own tears fell, not out of anger, but out of love. "Oh, David, you should have told me. We are a team. We're supposed to carry the heavy things together." He leaned into her, breaking down in her arms, months of silent pain finally finding a voice. For the first time in weeks, he felt like he could breathe again. They talked for hours that day, about the debts, about their expenses, about their fears. Miriam suggested they adjust their lifestyle, cut unnecessary costs, and face the problem together instead of pretending everything was fine. "You didn't fail us," she said softly. "You were just scared, but you're not alone anymore." That night, something shifted, not in their finances, but in their unity. The next morning, as David prepared breakfast, something unexpected happened. His phone rang again. He braced himself for another loan reminder. But when he answered, a calm voice said, "Hello, Mr. Otieno. This is the HR team. You've been shortlisted for a final interview. Are you available tomorrow?" David froze. Miriam turned from the sink, eyes widening. He whispered, "It's them. It's the company I applied to last month." She smiled, touched his arm, and whispered, "Say yes." And he did. That night, he laid out his best shirt, polished his shoes, and practiced interview answers while Miriam encouraged him gently from behind. For the first time in a long time, David felt hope growing again. He wasn't a man living two lives anymore. He was a man rebuilding one honest, stronger life, with the people who loved him most standing right beside him. And sometimes, that is where real strength begins. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more stories.